Hello, YouTube. Ronan Kazi. Beginning. Messed up. So, I was doing this weekly legendary. Sped it up a couple times. And saw it was a level 9 watch and a kind of high person. I don't know where I'm getting shot from. And lo and behold, it's my old friend RoseFox. Rose, and I'll try to put this video up in the notice right here. Rose had one of the best performances I've ever seen in a legendary. It was Manning National Zoo. We had a person that just kept dying, but Rose was great. They were absolutely great. So I'm super stoked to be running through here with Rose. And Mr. Owl is very, very competent as a level 9 player. I don't think anyone ever goes down, so this is almost like a flawless run. And we're 3-person in it right now. I have the usual Vial Jammer build. That build consists of the Vial Mask, Creeping Death on the backpack. Backpack's a China Light because you get some of that explosion to make the vial a little bit better. I have Unbreakable, I think it's called, on the chest piece, so I kind of have a chance where I don't die. I do the Jammer Pulse, and I'll have a variety of skills in that other slot, depending on the situation. So really in this point, if you're doing something like I'm doing, this position's the best because you can reach everywhere. Normally you go up on that right side of the stairs and you're going to push people to the left. Or you're going to go up the left and push them to the right. What you're not going to do is do a pincer because you're splitting your forces. So it's kind of good if you're all doing it in one way. I think Rose has a pretty high-powered skill build, it looks like. I didn't check out their build because they just are top shelf. This next section, you need someone to break there's a jammer in there. You need someone to break it. I can break it now from inside without ever opening the door if I had to. And we're dropping gear for the low-level person, which is great. So I'm going to put out Shock Trap because we have 3, because what's more important than damage is crowd control at this point. Because we don't need to be overrun. You see I'm going to run up there before the jammer hits me. I put out that, and then I'm going to jam it once. That puts it starting to die. But Rose goes out there and finishes it. Normally people go out there and die. Rose, super competent, takes care of it. And then really, this is where you're fighting from. There's people that go out, they usually die. They spend half the fight getting in and out, dying. This is a part of the fight that you really need to have skills, maybe. Even if you're not a skill build, you throw out a turret, maybe maybe Seeker Mines. And if you were coordinating this, you'd have the lower level person throw out like a turret and maybe Seekers, and I'd also throw out a damaging, but my job at this point is just keep them off of us. I'm going to do some damage on this other section. See, I think Unbreakable fired off there. Might not have. And I think someone has that piece, that exotic, I think breastplate. So when when my armor gets broke, I get a armor buff. So one of the things you're going to do when you're doing a, excuse me, let's say a critical. I wish that I looked to see if there was a cough button. I guess I could stop the recording and turn it on and off. I don't know how that would sound though. If you're going to critically analyze something in general, I usually do that with spreadsheets and with data. And if one of the things that's lacking in the division is numbers. There's a spreadsheet out there that gives you kind of the the numbers and someone's done testing, that spreadsheet, the community spreadsheet's really great. The folks that do that, if you search for the Division II spreadsheet, you can find a lot of the the numbers. But what you don't get are logs, so you don't know exactly what you're doing on the damage. You get a wrap up at the end, but you don't get, what would be nice if you're doing analysis on this would be a time to kill. So for me, that would be like, how many pulses do I have to do to kill like a red, yellow, and purple? So that's one of the key things. In my job, I do a lot of demographic stuff because we're going to target certain segments of the population, and that's always important. And there's a lot of sources for that. If you're in business, the census has a bunch of data that you can use to do all kinds of analysis for what you want. If you're looking for economic data on the stratification of wealth in a community, that has that by age, breakdown by sex. I've done some things in the town I lived for a presentation, and I put together some things so we could figure out who to target with some marketing. Other type of analysis, maybe when you're not doing a numbers-based thing, you might do some analysis on your process. And so in lean manufacturing, you might do a Kaizen, but you might do a situation where you do like a value stream mapping. That's a big word, just saying you lay down all the steps. And what you'll find is if you're laying out the steps in the process of what you do, there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of redundancy. If you're really honest as a company, it can be super valuable where you streamline processes. And so when you're thinking about your gameplay, let's think about what you're doing here. That's one of the reasons I came up with this build, not the flame turret part. That's just an add-on, is the vial jammer part. Was when you're playing legendaries, when I used to play legendaries back in the day, we'd never win because these stupid, the stupid drones would just kill you, right? And the dogs and everything. And with the vial jammer, that's Roxy. And Roxy gets mad at folks in the house when they walk around the house. Roxy, hey, you see this? So now I'm showing her like a squirt bottle. I'm showing you the squirt bottle. Hey! There, you want it squirted? There, you'll get squirted. So, sorry about that. In a game like Diablo 4, you're looking at your time to kill. Time to kill is always a good indicator on how well you're doing. XP per hour is another thing when you're trying to determine which activities are beneficial for you. So at a certain level, you do a task that's repeatable. How long does it take you? Multiply that to normalize it to an hour, and it gives you your XP per hour. Time to kill. Usually do that on a bigger boss, but you got to know the health of the boss, then how much your DPS is, and then, you figure that out. I'm going to give a shout out to a site. I'm not going to put it in the comments or anything, but their place called Icy Veins, Icy-Veins. For World of Warcraft, that was fantastic. You would change your build. It would tell you exactly. Now, World of Warcraft is a little bit different because it was a tab-based targeting game. And so you would be locked onto the person. So whether you were good at shooting or aiming or any of that didn't really matter. What mattered in a game like that was the precedence of how you used your skills. And then there's like global cooldowns and cooldowns that lock other skills out and all that kind of stuff. They did a good job at that. But really in the Division 2, it's really a matter of putting a certain amount of pressure on the enemy and sustained pressure that keeps them from charging. That's one thing I found. If you're going against the Black Tusk, you're silly not to have someone doing a jammer pulse to lock down the skills. If you're on heroic, you could go to ambrosia, which is the pulse from the gunner, whatever it's called. I call it ambrosia, and sometimes it sticks with me. But that one would disorient people, and that combined with the Firefly blinder, you can lock people down pretty good. But really, at this point, it doesn't matter on heroic. I've shown you before, I've done a video where I've done heroics with purples. And so really, I'm going to tell you that it doesn't matter. In a lot of these games, I would tell you it doesn't matter. You have to think about if you're a developer and you develop a game and you're tasked with making a lot of variability in the game. So if someone really wants to be a sorcerer that does earth skills, like they can do it and it's going to be good. Are there some skills that are better than other, maybe in the eye of the beholder? But I want you to think about that. In a game that's like Diablo, where it's really publicly accessible, where you're looking to get a mass market, those games are catering to the casual gamer. So yes, you can delve into it and squeeze every ounce, but you're going to get through this stuff no matter what. Unless you're a dedicated gamer, but all of us aren't dedicated gamers. Maybe you watch some of the highest YouTube content creators, but they're not playing the game like you do. I mean, if I was let's say I had 1 million followers, I'd hire someone to level up all my stuff and give me their opinion, because I got to make the video and I got to do the comment on the video. I would do some gameplay. But if you think, on World of Warcraft, they'd have these world first, and you'd see people 8 hours after it started, they get like a world first or some incredibly fast time. And then you find out, when you could start buying gold inside of World of Warcraft, there was people that all their job was to do was farm gold so that you could sell it. And you can imagine, if you're having a gold selling business, you're going to have people working on those characters 24/7. Or if they're leveling your character for you, they're working on it 24/7. So what makes you think when, people are leveling their character? I'm not saying everyone, but I'm just saying, is it the most important? The majority, only one person can be first. So the majority of us are going to be second, third, fourth, fifth, or whatever. So what I'm going to tell you is you should enjoy the game, do the builds you like, and play how you want. I whined a little bit because I can't play werewolf yet, because on some tiers and some growth points, it's not that viable. When I ran werewolf and Diablo 4 out in the real world, it was just fantastic and fun. And it will be again as I level up. But we're here. I'm here with RoseFox. You see, this is pretty much flawless. I wrote to you the other day about constructive criticism. This is even more flawless than that last one. Where 3-person in it might not be the fastest. It still was like less than a half hour, which is pretty darn good for a 3-man, excuse me. But I threw out heals, so in a 3-man, we have enough DPS that we have a person that's level 9. They never died. Kudos to Owl, because that's what you're supposed to do. Rose, I'd say, I don't think there's a lot of people who play the game better than me. I'm sure that they are a better player than me, especially since I don't play as much now, but no caveats. When I ran with them, the one time we did the Legendary Manning Zoo, and that is a beast. Legendary Manning Zoo is a beast. And the last stage is just tough. Rose put on a clinic. So once I knew they were in there, it was absolutely fantastic. So these are some of the analysis tools that you can do. And really goes back to problem solving, starts with asking why. You have a certain amount of things that are most likely going to happen. That's like kind of a Pareto. Like out of 10 things, there's going to be 3 things that top out. You're going to focus on those. You're not going to fall into a rabbit hole. You're going to stop asking why after a while. And it's partly the scientific process, scientific method. You're going to test your hypothesis when you get out there. But that's everything. And then how you deliver that news goes back to accepting criticism, how you give criticism, how you give a critique. I told you, I think, this is Ronan Kazi, this isn't a fact, but I think your ego is the thing. For me, I found when I'm really in love with something, I'm the most reluctant to take other people's advice. And I'd say this, if someone has actually done something, I'm more apt to listen to them than to say secondhand. You know, that's the other thing. So, there we go. This is normally when I say thank you for liking, sharing. Hey, it's growing, the channel. We're almost at 340. I appreciate everyone that's helping me out. Probably going to work on a laptop review here, but alert, it's probably pretty good. I'll talk to you again, YouTube. Thank you for everything. Ronan Kazi signing off.